healing our relationship with money is because, sure, it's lovely to have more money in your bank account. I love it when people tell me they raise their credit scores or increase their net worth or, all that stuff is incredible. Buy their first home or their second home or take their kids on a trip to Italy or pay off their student loans. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. And ultimately, those are simply reflections of their own connection and access to their inner resources, AKA their personal power. Welcome to Plenty. I'm your host, Kate Northrup, and together we are going on a journey to help you have an incredible relationship with money, time, and energy, and to have abundance on every possible level. Every week, we're going to dive in with experts and insights to help you unlock a life of plenty. Let's go fill our cups.
Please note that the opinions and perspectives of the guests on the Plenty podcast are not necessarily reflective of the opinions and perspectives of Kate Northrup or anyone who works within the Kate Northrup brand.
When I put out a call to our online community and asked them what they wanted me to do some solo podcast episodes about, this topic came up multiple times. It's a big one. It's a hairy one. It's multidimensional. So I'm going to keep it high level today. But today we are talking about money and power. I think this is an incredibly important topic from a macro level to help us to understand the intricacies of our own relationship with money on a micro level. Money is one of those topics in our lives that we really can't avoid. If you're listening to this podcast, you're interacting with money on a regular basis. And when we have an unhealthy or dysregulated relationship with money, it is going to constantly siphon your energy because it's something that comes up every day, if not multiple times a day. And yet, money can be such an incredible inroad to accessing greater levels of our personal energy and our personal power. And that's why I love talking about it as a topic. In full transparency, am I obsessed with personal finance? Not really. I love talking about this topic. I love talking about money because it is a metaphor for our power. Now, power, let's just define power. The way I talk about power, the way I understand power in the paradigm or context of this episode is that power is our ability to have choice and use our life force to make manifest something. So power is an ability to use our energy for something and to see a shift. Power in the shadow, so shadow power, toxic power, unhealthy expressions of power are more of what we have been conditioned to see, which is power over and hierarchical power. That's not what I'm talking about. Unfortunately, the way in which money and power are intertwined culturally in terms of what we've seen with leadership in the government, in corporate structures, with authoritarian models is a dance between money and power that is really quite sick and keeps people out. It is the tendency for old patterning, old paradigms of power and money to be about a few people having access to all the resources, to all the money and power, at the detriment of everyone else who does not have access to the possibility of using their energy for change and using their energy to manifest what they want to see in the world, not having the power of agency, the power of choice. And it's a few people lording their power over the many. And we see so many toxic ways that money is used as a unhealthy shadow expression of power. And so when I talk about money and power, I think a lot of people get a little cringy and like repulsed because cultural conditioning has us see those old paradigms of power over and using money to have power over, and essentially using money to control other people and to keep other people down or to keep other people small. So I am acknowledging that those models exist. And I am also inviting us all to step into a paradigm and a possibility where a new reality around money and power is being birthed, and the only place it can come from is inside of us. So what I'm talking about is the power to make manifest that which you desire in your own life, and that when you are aligned with the truth of your soul, that which you make manifest in the world is also good for others. So money can be a beautiful tool to align with power in its highest form as well. Money is a neutral resource. Money is neither good nor bad. It just acts as fertilizer to grow the substrate upon which it falls. So if you have rain falling in a garden and the rain falls on tulips, the rain will grow the tulips. But if the rain is falling on weeds that are trying to squelch out the tulips, the rain will also grow the weeds. Money is like that. So it's neither good nor bad. It just will enhance and fertilize that which it falls upon. So if you are someone who is pure of heart, who is in connection to your soul, who is in alignment, who is in integrity, who has the good of yourself and the good of others as your highest priority, adding more money to that equation is going to give you more power. Is that not a beautiful thing? Do we not need more people in power who are connected to their heart, who are connected to their soul, who are doing the personal healing work so that they're not acting out their unconscious traumas with power over and trying to control other people, but instead are acting from their truest, purest selves and using their power to infuse other people with empowerment to tap into their own inner resources to make manifest their soul's true desire in the external world. So that is what we were talking about. I am talking about a paradigm and an invitation and a possibility in which people really who are conscious, loving souls who have so much to offer the world are able to have their efforts bolstered by the fertilizer that money can bring to support their efforts, to support their art, to support their creations, to support their community organization, to support all of the beautiful offerings that they have for the world, because that's the kind of power that's possible for us if we align our healing, if we learn to heal our nervous systems, if we learn to become regulated when we find ourselves acting out of fear. By the way, this is a side note, but I think it's important. People who are using their power and their money for controlling others and for power over are acting out of fear and scarcity. That model in which resources and power are hoarded for a few so that it is kept from other people, there's two things about it. Number one, that is a fear-based model. That is a scarcity-based model. And the people who want to uphold those systems are scared. They are grounded in the illusion of lack and in the illusion that there's not enough to go around. If they believed there was enough to go around in terms of power, resources, love, all of the things, why would they hoard it for themselves? Why would they purposefully keep other people from having it? They wouldn't, because if they knew and really felt the truth that there is more than enough for everyone, why would they do that? They wouldn't. So for me, it really helps me to to take my power back from institutions and systems and people who might be trying to keep my power away from me, it really helps me to see them through the lens of the truth that they are scared and that their small, scared selves are acting out of fear to try to strip me or others of their power. And suddenly, something that feels really scary to me I can see the truth of it, which is that they are in a small, scared self, and I can access compassion, and I can also take my power back from that. And so I offer that in case that's helpful. The other thing is that ultimately, no one can have power over you unless you let them. And so the whole thing about money healing, the reason I love teaching healing our relationship with money is because, sure, it's lovely to have more money in your bank account. I love it when people tell me they raise their credit scores or increase their net worth or, all that stuff is incredible. Buy their first home or their second home or take their kids on a trip to Italy or pay off their student loans. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. And ultimately, those are simply reflections of their own connection and access to their inner resources, AKA their personal power. There is nothing on earth that can take your personal power from you unless you let it. And so the journey of financial healing is the exact same journey as reclaiming and tapping into your personal power, which to me is the same thing as source with a capital S, or your divinity, or the animating energy that runs through your body that, quite frankly, is a mystery. Like, we don't know how we got here, particularly what we are doing here, but we do know that we get inspired by things. We do know that we love other people. We do know that we have this creative life force, this creative spark running through us. We do know that in our limited time here on earth, we get satisfaction and joy from making stuff, from changing stuff, from transformation, from witnessing other people's transformation, from bringing it forth within ourselves, from growing a garden, from making spaghetti, from building a building, we don't know what we're doing here, and we're all definitely for sure going to die. However, that mystery in between is life force, is our connection with the divine, is the same thing as our power. Now, one of the best ways to clean up or reconfigure or shore up our relationship with money and power, because again, it is the same thing, is to begin to heal our nervous system. And I talk about this a lot, but big picture here, what I will say is that our nervous system is responsible for the vast majority of our unconscious activity. Our nervous system holds our memory. Our nervous system is a network of neurons that communicates between our brain is part of our nervous system. It also includes our brain stem, and then our peripheral nervous system is all the nerves that go all throughout our external organs. So we have our central nervous system and our peripheral nervous system. And our nervous system is responsible for our emotions, our thoughts, our beliefs, and our behavior. And what creates the neural patternings that get activated by all the different sensory stimulus in the world around us, what creates our own particular unique response to all of the sensory stimuli is our own neural patterning, otherwise known as neurotags. Neurotags get there from experiences that we've had in the past that were emotionally activating. So our nervous system, the part of us that's wired for survival, our survival brain, which also lives in our body all throughout our survival wiring, I should say, includes our brain and our body. The part of us that's wired for survival remembers all the things that have happened to us that are emotionally activating, and it imprints our nervous system with neural patterns that then get reactivated because they are shortcuts. Our body does not want to use the energy to every time a stimulus comes in front of us to have to decide for the first time, oh, what is this? What should I do about it? What should I do now? It can't use that amount of energy every single time. So what it does is it brilliantly creates neural patterning so that there's automatic responses to the same stimulus. So we don't have to use our limited cognitive conscious ability to make a decision every single freaking time the same stimulus comes along. The tricky thing about that is that some of those neural patterns are inaccurate in terms of the actual level of threat that a particular stimulus might present. So, for example, if you grew up in a household where there was a lot of fighting and conflict around the topic of money, you will have neural patterning in your nervous system that actually associates money with stress, money with threat. And that may, in your adult life, prevent you unconsciously from engaging in a powerful way, meaning in a conscious way with your full level of choice and your full agency on board and your full adult self on board and your full cognitive ability on board. You may not be engaging with money because your body is unconsciously telling you money is associated with threat. And so our nervous system is largely mitigating our ability to access our personal power with money and with anything else until we decide to and engage in unpacking those neural patterns and rewiring our nervous system and our brain, all the same thing, in order to begin to build new associations with safety around money, and possibly even with pleasure and with joy and with beautiful imprints around personal power. And that can take some time, but is worth every ounce of effort, because once you repattern your neural pathways and you practice over and over again, the myelination becomes strong. Those neural patterns literally get coated with something called myelin, just like in a house you don't see raw wires behind the wall. They're covered in that coating, like a little white coating or blue coating or red coating. That's like inside our bodies, we have myelin that gets coated over our neural pathways. And the more you practice a neural pathway, the thicker it gets, the more myelination it gets, which is bad news if it is a neural pattern that is not supporting your abundance and your personal power. But it's really good news if you are engaged in repatterning your nervous system, because you don't have to use your limited conscious cognitive abilities every time you go to do a new habit, like being really compelling and charming on a discovery sales call, or like making a powerful pitch, or like showing up at a speaking gig and being really charismatic and powerful. Like all of those are things that you can actually train your nervous system to do over and over again, so they become a new neural pathway that's in the direction of access to your greater personal power. Now, I will say as a side note, and this is sort of more of a mystical thing, this is where my mystical and my scientific come together. I think it is so cool that the nervous system is powered by electricity, right? So like our neural pathways are powered by light, literally. And when we look at ancient spiritual texts and even modern spiritual texts and the way we talk about spirituality and the energy of God and the energy of divine, we talk about the light. We talk about that very same thing that is running our nervous system, that is the primary conductor of energy in our body. So to me, There's no greater, more practical way of accessing our personal power than by deliberately rewiring the light pathways, AKA the nervous system, in our bodies so that we are directing that light where we want it to be directed habitually, to set up the foundation for the behavior and for the manifestations that we really desire in the world. That's what I got for you today. Thanks so much for listening in to this conversation about money and power. See you next time. Thanks for listening to this episode of Plenty. If you enjoyed it, make sure you subscribe, leave a rating, leave a review. That's one of the best ways that you can ensure to spread the abundance of plenty with others. You can even text it to a friend and tell them to listen in. And if you want even more support to expand your abundance, head over to katenorthrup.com/breakthroughs, where you can grab my free money breakthrough guide that details the biggest money breakthroughs from some of the top earning women I know, plus a mini lesson accompanying it with my own biggest money breakthroughs and a nervous system healing tool for you to expand your abundance. Again, that's over at katenorthrup.com/breakthroughs. See you next time.